In the last 10 years, collectible card games have absolutely exploded in popularity. The game leading the charge, Magic: The Gathering, has had record-breaking year after record-breaking year, and as we continue to dive into the 21st century, these kinds of games and technology continue to collide with one another, taking new forms in a digital world. I'm Mark Bursteiner. Let's take a look at Hearthstone.
It is said that wars are only won upon the anvil of honor.
Hearthstone is a game created by Blizzard, the same folks who brought you World of Warcraft, StarCraft, and Diablo. Is a free-to-play digital card game with some really notable features that are primarily possible because of the digital medium. I've been an avid Magic player since about 1997 or 98, so it takes a lot to take my attention away from the game, and that's pretty understandable these days. Magic is healthier than it's ever been, so naturally, many of my impressions of Hearthstone are viewed through a Magic-tinted lens, so to speak. The first thing you'll probably notice about Hearthstone is how ridiculously pretty and silky smooth everything is. It's actually still in beta, but the client has been really rock solid in my experience. Despite a few bugs here and there hasn't really been anything that's majorly affected gameplay for me anyway. Every single detail in terms of presentation has been polished to a high gleam. Each minion has a battle cry, pun intended, that they shout when they enter the battlefield and attack.
It's time for a little blood.
Opening booster packs is a cinematic affair in and of itself. And the board literally tells you when there's nothing left for you to do in the turn.
Job done.
The game is absolutely gorgeous, and it's really exciting to see a game like this that retains a bunch of card game mechanics while kind of pushing boundaries and blurring lines into sort of RPG/strategy type presentation. It's really cool. In terms of gameplay, Hearthstone plays pretty similarly to Magic, but the complexity level seems drastically lower to me. I might even go so far as to call it like Magic Light. For those of you who aren't really familiar with Magic or Hearthstone, this is how Hearthstone works. The game revolves around 2 players with 30 life and a 30 card deck. These players then use the cards in the deck that they've built to summon minions, cast spells, and craft weapons that'll help them bring the opponent's life total to 0, thus winning them the game. What's more interesting about Hearthstone than its similarities to other card games is where it's different. Hearthstone possesses something that is incredibly powerful, that most other card games, whether they're digital or otherwise, really struggle to achieve. It is astoundingly accessible. There's no tutorial, and trust me, you won't even need it. The game throws you right in, and the gameplay is so intuitive that when the minions start to fly, you don't even realize that you're already past the learning curve. Next thing you know, you're participating in ranked matches to earn medals. Now, this says nothing of the actual strategic element of the game, but it is really, really easy to get your foot in the door. To the uninitiated, early games are going to be pretty thoroughly entertaining, but for card game veterans, the early game does feel as though it lacks a little bit of depth. To start, only 1 of 9 World of Warcraft universe classes are available, so to unlock the rest, you have to be paired with a class that you haven't yet unlocked, defeat them, and then that'll unlock the ability for you to play as that class. As you level up each of the 9 classes, you're going to unlock stronger cards that you can use for your decks. And it's this period where you've unlocked a class but you don't have the good stuff yet that everything feels like kind of bland and boring. Once you get higher level staples, then you can get some pretty fun gameplay out of each of the classes and really diverse and different strategies emerge, but until then, it does feel like kind of a grind. So that said, once you've unlocked all 9 classes, it's a little bit less grindy in terms of getting to some good cards, because then you have all the baselines for each of the classes. But in order to keep getting better, you need to keep grinding for gold so that you can use that gold to buy booster packs. Since Hearthstone is free to play, its card acquisition model is a little bit more akin to like a mobile free-to-play title than an online card game. But it actually feels pretty natural here despite the grindy nature of it. Booster packs of 5 random expert cards will run you 100 gold, and in that booster pack, you're guaranteed to get 1 or more rare cards or higher, because there's more rarities past rare. You can get this gold for the packs by completing quests, which are daily, or winning games. Every 3 games you win will get you 10 gold. You can also just straight up spend real world money on these booster packs. It'll cost you $2 a piece, or if you want to buy them in bulk, it'll cost you just a little bit less each. Where Hearthstone gets creative, though, is in its card crafting. Cards that you get from booster packs can be disenchanted for arcane dust. Each card has an applicable value of arcane dust that it's worth. Then you can use that arcane dust to craft specific cards that you need for your constructed deck, thereby eliminating chance from whether or not you're able to flesh out your collection or a certain deck that you want to be able to play. It's a really cool welcome feature, especially in a collectible card game, because in the real world, that's just not possible. Once you've unlocked all 9 classes, you can spend 150 gold, which is 50 more than 1 booster pack, on an entry into the arena. This is where Hearthstone really shines for me. The arena is a digital take on a limited format called Draft, where players build decks on the fly based on random selections that they're given. In Magic, this is from a booster pack. So one by one, you're going to pick a class first, and then draft one of 3 cards that you're randomly presented with until you have a 30-card deck. You'll then use this deck to battle other decks that were built in the same way, in the arena of course, and the more wins you accumulate, the better your prizes will be at the end. When does it end? Well, once you lose 3 times, you're out of there. This is easily the most compelling skill testing and really fun aspect of the game. In Hearthstone, the resource system gives you 1 mana crystal for every turn that you take. And while this is certainly intuitive, it does take a little bit of the skill and variance out of the game when you know that a big 6 mana blocker can hit the field just about as soon as you or your opponent hit your 6th turn. This is somewhat mitigated by spells that ramp mana availability to certain classes, and a card called the Coin that you get if you play second in the game, which will let you play something basically a turn earlier by giving you an extra mana crystal. But I find myself missing making decisions about when to play what kind of resource, since crystals are all universal for all the cards that you're going to play. I also really don't like the way secrets are handled in Hearthstone. Since players don't actually have any actions to take on their opponent's turn, there's nothing you can do, there's no responses. So instead, you play a secret card, like a trap. The secret sits visible on the battlefield until its requirements are met, and then it triggers. This feels like a little bit of a cop-out for a number of reasons. A, it's a digital game. Track the fact that I played it digitally, show or don't show the opponent that I spent the mana on it, but don't leave a big fat beacon sitting there reminding them that I've done something. Any kind of free information that you give your opponent is a huge advantage for them. And you lose a ton of control. Since it's just going to trigger on the first thing that happens, you can't say, when a certain creature attacks, trigger this secret. It'll just say, when a creature attacks. My major complaint with Hearthstone so far is that since the game is really heavily based around minions that can attack one another directly, nearly every game feels like a race. Games of Magic often result in multiple pauses and life loss, and then the focus becomes some game-warping card that's just been played. This results in a sort of game within a game feel that adds to Magic's depth. Magic head designer Mark Rosewater has often said that Magic is actually many different games within one, and I think that it's this versatility that's kept me enthralled with the game since I was a kid. This is where I think Hearthstone really falls short for me. It's very much been one specific game asking one specific question. How fast can I get your life total down to 0? I'd really like to see some expansion to the card type pool and the mechanics to hopefully accommodate some alternate win conditions and more diverse styles of gameplay. Hearthstone is familiar territory for veterans of just about any collectible card game, but it excels in its beautiful client, above average gameplay, and really smooth on-ramp for new players. While there's still certainly room for growth and course correction, Hearthstone hits the scene in peak condition, and it shows a lot of promise. Since it was born in the digital realm, not merely adopted into it, it has a really bright, promising future given the possibilities that are available in the medium. Public beta is expected to hit later this month, that's December 2013, and clients are also coming to iOS and Android tablets. If you're a Magic player or you have any interest at all in any kind of card or strategy games, Hearthstone is absolutely worth checking out, if you can get your hands on it. Since there aren't any actions that you can take on your player, on your opponents, on your players, you get access to the arena, and you have a bunch of powerful... What the f***? But I find myself making decisions about stupid things in my life. Just stupid things in my life.